Caroline Grandjean. She's a postgraduate student at Leeds University, and the British journalist Simon Cooper, who lives here and was in the football ground. But let me just start with you, Caroline. Where were you? You weren't actually that near anything, and yet it was terrifying where you were.
Yes, I was dead scared. I was in Saint-Germain-des-Prés, a very popular and bustling area. I was just having a normal Friday night out, having a drink, and then I realized the scope of the event, and I got really scared. I was sat on a terrace with a friend, and I've overheard like a conversation. He said, "There's a war in Paris," and then I thought, hang on, right, we're not safe, especially as the waiter obliged us to get inside. And
I mean, were you the only one feeling frightened, or did you sense panic around you?
No, literally everyone was panic-stricken. Everyone was on the phone, checking on their friends, and losing the ability to think. Probably, what should we do? How can we protect ourselves? And
still taxis in the street?
No taxi. It was a struggle to get a taxi home, so I had no choice but to find a safer place, another bar, shelter, like a wine cellar.
A sort of bomb shelter in a sense.
Yes.
Somebody's basement.
Yeah,
and you found one, 10 minutes away?
I had to walk 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
And it was the most scary experience I had.
Simon Cooper, you were in the match, and you heard the two explosions. But did you think they were bombs, or...?
The first time I thought, this is very loud, this is not firecrackers, and I asked if anyone had information on Twitter. People said, oh, it happens at football matches, firecrackers. I thought, this is not that. And then 3 minutes later there was a second loud explosion. The ground shook a bit, and I thought there's really something very badly wrong here. But it took about 20 minutes before any information came in on the news that there had been a bomb outside the stadium.
And the amazing thing is they finished the game.
It was surreal sitting there because the game was played out. France scored 2 goals. Both goals were wildly cheered. At one point, after the 2 explosions, the crowd did the Mexican wave. The crowd was really into the match, except towards the end. I think people started to get the news from their phones. And by the final whistle, about a quarter of the stadium was empty. People had thought, I should get home, I should get out of here. And then people didn't know what to do. Some went onto the field. Should we go out into the metro and go into Paris? It seemed crazy.
Now, you both love this city. But it's very different from London, isn't it? I mean, in the sense that people live outside, in and around the city. They don't have gardens.
No, that's true. But it's not a reason to feel safer.
No, but in a sense, when a city like this is attacked,
yes,
and people are told to stay indoors,
yes,
it's a pretty terrible thing.
It is very, very worrying,
Yeah.
and we have to take it seriously. I don't feel safe. I'm scared when I have to take the underground now. And even to get to the airport on Monday to fly back to Leeds, I don't feel at ease with this idea.
And you wrote very lyrically in the FT, and you must have been writing really amidst all the mayhem last night. Just tell us what it is you love about this city that's kept you here for 13 years.
I mean, Paris is the streets, the outside. You live in Paris to be near other people. You have a small apartment, you don't spend much time inside. You live in Paris to go outside, to be on the squares, to be in the cafes, the theatres, the football stadiums. This is a city with so much to offer on the outside. It's the public spaces, and when those public spaces are endangered, the city crumbles.
And that's the problem, because last night everybody was told to stay indoors. Indeed, actually, they were told to stay indoors today. They didn't, not everybody, but I think a fair few did. It was quite a somber feeling and quite an empty feeling in the city.
Well, we kept our children inside because you want your kids to go out, so we were kind of locked up in the house for the first half of the day. And then, yes, you do go out because if
Did they know what happened?
They do. I mean, they ran into my room in the morning, and my wife had slept at the dinner she was at because she didn't dare go home. The children ran into my room in the morning and said, what's happened? What has been going on? And
How old are they?
9, 7 and 7, and I told them, people have been shooting people, but it's over now. But I mean, you have to think as a parent, do you want to raise children in an atmosphere of fear? Is Paris going to become a place of fear?
Well, what do you think?
Organising an attack like this is very difficult. It's logistically complicated, it's hard to recruit the suicide bombers, it's hard to do it twice, so I think we're going to have a period of respite. But I think having had Charlie Hebdo only 10 months ago, the fear is creeping in.
Leeds must feel a very long way away, but when you go back, how will you think of your city?
I will feel very, very sad, shocked, and I will, care for my parents more than usually, and Yeah.
How have they taken this attack? We've heard of children. What about parents?
They were terrified at the idea that I could be one of the victims. They harassed me on the phone, and yeah, I just kept reassuring them, I'm fine, I'm inside. But yeah, no, it was a nightmare. Luckily, thanks to the Facebook app, like we could spot it ourselves and saying we are secure.
Catherine Grosjean and Simon Cooper, thank you both very warmly. Well, more details are now beginning to emerge about the suspects, including a French.
It didn't take much to create whole-scale panic. This was the Place de la République, just after 6 p.m. The rumour spread like lightning that a gunman was approaching. We were filming about 100 yards away at the time. I was asking some young Parisians about the impact of this tragedy when the panic outside triggered chaos inside too.
You say you don't want to be scared. Is the reality you will think twice next time you're going out on a Friday or a Saturday night?
I don't think so, honestly, because like, how can you tell this is going to happen this day or tomorrow? You cannot know, so it's better not to think about it because you cannot do anything about it. So.
Of course, nobody knew what was happening, but most assumed the worst. This woman with her dog was 90 and could not easily move. All anyone could think of was how to get out. In the end, no one could really say what had triggered such panic, but in a city full of rumours, it left many still more shaken.
I think this drives home the point. Everyone is living on edge right now. We heard there are false alarms all the time. Last night a hotel was evacuated for God knows what reason, and people are scared of the slightest thing. So I'm in a bit of shock right now. It's hard to even
I can see that.
This time I think everyone is scared. I have neighbors who are scared to go out. I delivered baguettes to my friend. Nobody quite knows if it's okay or not. We're just feeling our way along.
The way things are tonight, it may be some time before the tension here begins to ease.
Afternoon, and on it doubtless many that were caught up in some form in Friday's attacks, and even more perhaps just glad to be getting home. One purpose of today's silence in the UK was to show solidarity with the people of France and spread a message that civil liberties remain unbroken. But is the feeling the same right now in Paris?
We are still mourning, and we are not living, we're surviving and getting ready to face the worst, because we are aware they won't give up. Like they've succeeded to make us paranoid at that stage. So yeah, it's I don't know, there are no words to explain, like the feel of people. We can see fear in people's eyes, and yeah, like the atmosphere is so tense, it's horrible.
And it was only yesterday in relation to that atmosphere that there was a false alarm, but certainly a lot of panic that you witnessed as well.
Yeah, that was the most scary event of these past days, I think. Because, yeah, I thought, is it my turn to die?
The French community in West Yorkshire stands at over 20,000. And despite that fear in Paris and perhaps the continent at large, last night just some members of that community thought it important to get out of the house.